Hello, gorgeous queens. How are you today? So, welcome to episode 16 of the podcast. And this is all about the single mum hack that isn't mainstream. Now, if and when you're jumping on this live with me on Facebook, please do say hello. Drop me your favorite emoji in the comments. If you are brand new to my world, then please do let me know whereabouts in the world you are tuning in from. I've had women jumping into my membership this week from New York. I've got a client from California. It is vibe. So let me know. I'm here in the UK. So let me know whereabouts in the world you are tuning in from. If you are listening on the podcast platform, then welcome to my podcast. If you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you head to the subscribe button and subscribe to the podcast. And if you are watching over on YouTube, you're watching the replay, then make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm very close to hitting a personal goal over on YouTube, and I would be so grateful if you hit the subscribe button over on YouTube. So whether you're listening to this on Facebook or on the podcast platform, then please do head over to YouTube, go and follow me on YouTube. I highly appreciate it. Thank you. Right. Okay. Yesterday I had my hair done. So if you are watching the video, I had my hair highlighted yesterday. And what I wanted to say before I jump into this episode is when I have my hair done and there's a change, there is always something about it that I'm like, I glitch over for a day or two, and then it becomes okay. And the front of it was very blonde, like very blonde. And because I had a face frame and I thought, I don't know about the face frame. So today we have put a toner on the front here, and it has made it just a slightly different colour of blonde. So we're continuing to trust the process because this is going to wash out over a few washes and then it will settle and be the same colour. But I can be such a perfectionist, it drives me insane when things aren't quite right. Does anyone else feel the same? So I want to talk to you today about the single mum hack that isn't mainstream, that has really been a game changer for me as a single parent and as a single mum building a business. Because single mum life is like another level of leadership. It's another level of sometimes challenge and navigation and holding space and all of the things. And a lot of my clients that come and work with me are mums, and a lot of them are single mums as well. And it can be quite lonely in navigating it all by yourself and really dealing with the things that you don't really want to talk about and share with other people, especially the struggles. If you are a strong, independent woman and mum, I see you. I see you, because that was me. And I wore my strong, independent woman badge like a badge of honour for many years, to the point where if I was finding things hard, I wouldn't ask for help, because I'd feel like I had to prove that I could lead my family independently, I could provide for my family, I didn't need the help, I didn't need the support, and that doesn't serve us. It takes a village. It really does. Having the right support around us, just being able to talk things out about what's going on and help get different perspectives really does make a massive difference. And it was this that I learned in terms of what I'm going to share with you on this podcast that was an absolute game changer for me when it came to being a single parent. So it was probably back in 2020. I had been doing my best as a mum, and I became quite a young mum to my kids. So I had my first baby when I was 21. I had my second child when I was 23, and when I was 26, I had my third child. So I've got 2 daughters and I've got a son. And people now see my kids because they're 20, 18 and 15 and go, you don't look old enough to have kids that age. And I'm like, thanks very much, but I do. But in the beginning, because I was a young mum and because I'd been told that, I was irresponsible for having kids that young, I'd ruined my life because I got pregnant unexpectedly. So for me, being a parent that young, there came with an air of like, I have to sort of show to people and prove to people that I am responsible, that I can do this, that I have got this. And I was also committed to that as well, not just for myself, but for my children too. But I know there can be a lot of guilt, having a family very young. And then also when I then became a single parent, when the kids were 8, 6 and 4, and I was very much a single parent for about 10 years with my kids, there were also like dealing with feelings of like I'd let them down or that I'd failed, and that wasn't the case. You know, I was doing my best with what I knew. And even though I've raised all of my kids the same, they are all very different. Maybe you've experienced this as well. You know, we raise our kids and we kind of feel that they are mini me, mini us. People will say they see my kids and go, oh my gosh, yeah, they're like mini me's, they're like you, like little versions of you. And actually, I changed the way that I actually saw my role as a parent. And when I learned about human design, this was something that really changed the game for me in terms of how I actually perceived my role as a parent. And it's this that I want to talk to you about on today's podcast, because if you have never heard of human design, I encourage you to start exploring it. Come and work with me. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I love human design. I don't like say I'm a human design coach. However, I've studied it for the last 6 years and I love it because it's changed my life so much. It's changed my parenting life so much, and also me in business as well. And learning about human design, I first learned about human design for me. I learned my human design type, my strategy, my authority. I'm a manifesting generator with a sacral authority, and my profile lines, I'm a 5-1. And so I started to learn this about me, and I started to get fascinated with it, and so much started to make sense in terms of how I led myself, my energy levels, my inconsistency, the way that I lead myself, the fact that I can be a bit of a geek when I like discover something like human design. I want to learn all the things. So I learned so much about that initially. And if that's where you're at, then message me and just let me know that you are new to human design, or DM me and let me know your profile, like what you are if you know it, because it is fascinating. And if you don't know, I can just send you something free where you can find out what your chart is, and you can find out more about it. However, I started to learn all about myself. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to see what human design my kids are. And so I had their charts done for them, for when they were born and all the things. And I found out that I've got 3 very different human design children. And when I learned certain aspects about them and their chart, all of a sudden things started to make sense to me. And I thought, this for me is absolute gold. Because like I said, I'd raised all my kids exactly the same. And the way that they made decisions, the way that they regulated themselves, the way that they processed their emotions were all very different. And one of my children is a sacral authority like me, and she's a generator with a sacral authority, and her profile lines are different to mine. But what I found is the way that she processed her emotions and her emotional regulation was very similar to mine. And yet with my other 2 children, I've got a manifesting generator with an emotional authority, and I've got a manifester with an emotional authority. Now those 2 kids process their emotions completely differently. And for me as a parent with a sacral authority, when my emotional authority children were very in their feels, were having an emotional meltdown, or, the emotions became too much and they were like, and I was having to deal with that. Because my emotional center is completely open, I found it really challenging to deal with their emotional outbursts because A, I didn't understand where it came from, and B, I felt it deeply and I felt responsible for it. I didn't know how to lead with that and hold space for them to process that. And I think, why are they like this? Because I'm not like this. So I don't understand why they're like this. And this started to make so much sense. And also in terms of, rather than me thinking of my children of being like mini me, I started to change the way that I viewed myself, like I said, as a parent. And I started to think, actually, these 3 souls have been gifted to me to help bring into this world, to help grow and evolve. And also they have been sent for me to learn lessons as well, for me to grow and evolve as a human, for me to step into my role as like a mother and to lead them. And actually, if I am willing to become more fascinated with who they are and how they do certain things, and really notice what they what they ignite in me, but also what they trigger in me. It will make me become a better human. And in exchange of that, they will grow up to be like amazing humans. And so rather than me thinking that my kids had to be like me, I started to look at them and see them for like who they actually were in alignment with their human design. So like I said, I've got a generator. I think she's either a 6'2" or a 6'4". I think she's a 6'4" or a 4'6". Either or, I've got that many. Like one of them's a Mani Gen 3/5, emotional authority, and my son is a manifester with an emotional authority, and I think he's a 4'6" or a 6'4", one of the two, either way around. The profile lines for me, not like, don't sort of, I get them, but more for the kids side. It's more about like how they lead themselves, how they make decisions, how they express themselves, how they process emotions, how grounded they are. All of that I can get from looking at what their design is, what their authority is, and also what their centers are. And it made so much sense to me when I learnt this information. So I wanted to come on and just share that with you, because once I started to see them differently and see my role differently, this is where my experience of being a single parent started to become easier, because I learned that actually I can see how we are all very different, how we process and see life differently, how we lead differently, how we make decisions differently. And when it came to my leadership of them, I knew what to expect if I was bringing like boundaries in, or if I was giving consequences out, all of that. I would be fully prepared for what their reaction could potentially be as a child. And learning about the human design, like I said, just completely changed that. It was no longer me making it mean something about me and who I was, or that they were just a child and they were being naughty, or they shouldn't be doing things this way. It was not that at all. It was just holding space for actually who they were and guiding them and leading them to be their best selves. And not only that, it obviously helped me in business as well, like understanding how I lead both in all the roles. And one of my human design, I think it's either one of my channels, I've either got a full channel or I've got a gate in this, is about, for me to be in full alignment, I have to be of service to my family. If my loved ones are looked after and cared for, if I'm being of service and they are good, like I am good. And what I found in business is when I was new to business and when I was putting like literally as much of my energy, like nearly all of my energy into business, and I was sort of not putting as much focus on them, and I was like prioritizing the business because, you know, I need to make this work, I have to make money, and all of that was the focus and energy in the beginning. And things started to slip at home. That's when I would find it would affect my business performance. It would affect my business results because I was then leading out of alignment. So things had to change where actually for me to lead in alignment, it was looking after and prioritizing me first, my energy, my well-being, then the kids and our home, and then it was business. Because ultimately that is what is important. And as I started to lead like this, taking into account all of our human designs, my human design, like how I wanted to lead in my business, which again, we incorporate human design. This is where I started to experience like really big results in my business. And so I invite you, if you haven't yet learned, you know, what your human design is, find out what it is. If you love human design and you know what your human design is, then please reach out to me and let me know what it is, because I am fascinated on it. I literally geek out on human design charts. Send me a chart if you want, because I'd love to see it. And if you've got children, if you know their human designs, then let me know what their human designs are. You know, if you want to, let me know. You know, I've got a manifestor, I've got a Mani Gen, I've got a projector, I've got a reflector maybe, you know, you just don't know. And if you are a manifestation and human design geek like me, then make sure that you stay in my world. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you follow, because I am all about human design. I'm all about manifestation. I love, love, love it. I am actually running a program soon. It's going to be at the end of May, and it's called the Solo CEO. And this experience is going to be a 6-week experience helping women in business who are single parents to really go deeper with like who they are as a parent, helping them to navigate and lead their life and family life in alignment, so that then they're able to also lead their business in alignment. And we're going to be looking at that of like creating the strategy that aligns with ultimately what it is that you want as a single parent. Because if you just make it about business, and business becomes something where you have to give it your all, you're giving from the energy of depletion, other things around you are happening. I have like conversations with my clients where they're just like, oh my God, my kid's driving me crazy, and this is happening with my kid, and we're falling out, and I don't know what to do about it, especially when they're in sort of teenage years, from like between the ages of 13 and 17. You know, it can be a very challenging time when you're on your own as a single mum, especially when you've got boys as well, and you're having to navigate that with the lack of like empowered masculine energy around. Having somewhere where you can co-regulate, have conversations about what you're finding hard, and also like holding that authority in your leadership as a parent is really important during that time as well, as the kids are teenagers. You know, we're going to be talking about all the different like ups and downs, the things that have really helped me. We're going to be talking about and bringing in human design into the conversation massively, because like I said, it's been a game changer for me. And it's this that I want to help women with over the 6-week period of like just really helping to lead both life and business in alignment as a single parent. Because I don't think it's A, talked about enough, and B, in the business space, it's very rare that I see a business program that's specifically tailored to single parents. And this is not to say that like you're at some sort of disadvantage as a single mum. You know, you've got it a lot harder than a lot of other people. But when you are like leading yourself in alignment, like with your energy type, with what it is that you really want and what you want to create, this is where you start to make it much easier for yourself. This is where you start to have better conversations and communication. This is when you start to make decisions that make a difference. This is where you're open to opportunity. This is where you're leading more in flow, rather than constantly being in a reactive state because you're tired, because you're stressed, because you've got this to deal with your child. You don't know what to do here. You're trying to ignore that. You're avoiding this. That's not how we lead. I want to help you really go into things so that you can clean everything up behind the scenes, so that you're able to, like I said, lead your life and business in alignment and flow, rather from pressure and from stress. So if you want more details on the Solo CEO, there's some details on my social media pages, so you can go to Instagram or Facebook. But what I'd highly, highly recommend is, if you want more information, then reach out to me on the DMs. I'm not creating a sales page for the Solo CEO at this stage because I'm only opening 10 spaces. It's going to be an intimate program. Like I said, it's going to run 6 weeks from the 27th of May. So if you would like information, then please do reach out to me. Let me know. I can let you know, when it's going to be running, how long for, all the details about the course, and how much it'll be as well. There are payment plans available always. So if you do see information on my page, then just reach out to me and we can get you registered and you can claim your place. So that is what I wanted to share. So if you don't know your human design, go and find out what it is. If you do know what your human design is, let me know what yours is. Reach out to me on the socials. If you're not following me across Facebook or Instagram, make sure you follow me on there. And if you're not subscribed to the podcast or the YouTube, go and get yourself subscribed. So yeah, that is everything today. Wishing you an amazing rest of your day, and I will see and speak to you for episode 17 next week. Bye.